Hi guys, this video is for iReady lesson equivalent ratio tables. Let's begin.
Jenna rode on the bike trail one afternoon. She biked 12 miles in 1 hour and 24 miles in 2 hours. Show the relationship between the number of hours and the number of miles in the ratio 12 to 1.
Okay, so we want to see how many times we're going to multiply to get from 1 to 12. We know that that's 12, so we're going to type in 12 here.
Show the relationship between the number of hours and the number of miles in the ratio 24 to 2.
We see that 2 times 12 is also going to be 24, so we're going to type in 12 there.
In both ratios, the relationship between the number of miles and the number of hours is the same. That means the ratios are equivalent. Marcus lives in New York City. He can walk 5 blocks to the recreation center in 10 minutes. At this speed, how many blocks can Marcus walk in 30 minutes?
Okay, so we can either reduce or just multiply across. So to get from 10 to 30, we multiply by 3. So to go from 5 to our empty space, we multiply by 3 and get 15.
Nice work. Complete the statement to show the relationship between 10 minutes and 5 blocks.
Now we could also simplify our ratio. So we would do 10 divided by 2, which would also give us 30 divided by 2, which would be 15. So same result.
Which expression shows how to find the number of blocks Marcus can walk in 30 minutes?
And either way, we get 15.
How many blocks can Marcus walk in 30 minutes? Coach Curran's team has won 5 times and lost 2 times. He hopes that his team can keep this same ratio of wins to losses. If the team has 10 losses, how many wins would they need to keep the record?
Okay, so we're going to go across. 2 times 5 will give us 10. So 5 times 5 will give us 25.
Complete the equation to show the relationship between 2 losses and 10 losses.
And then 5 times 5.
Which expression shows the number of wins needed for 10 losses? Nice job.
Yay. And then 25.
Complete the equation to show the number of wins the team needs for 10 losses. Because of the way that hummingbirds move their wings, they can fly forward, backward, and upside down. While in flight, some hummingbirds can flap their wings about 500 times in 10 seconds. At this speed, how many times might a hummingbird flap its wings in 60 seconds?
So
Complete
again,
the table.
We can either reduce or we can multiply going across. So if we reduced, we would see that it's flapping its wings 50 times in 1 second. So we have to do 50 times 60. Or if we want to go across, we're getting from 10 to 60 by multiplying by 6. So we would do 500 times 6. Either way, we're going to get an answer of 3,000.
Amalia makes trays by gluing tiles on pieces of wood. The picture shows one of her tile designs. Amalia wants to know how many black and white tiles she needs to make different numbers of trays. Enter the number of tiles needed to make 2 trays.
So we're going to
multiply each quantity by 2.
An equivalent ratio table right now. So first we're going to multiply by 2. So 5 times 2 is 10. And we have to click over here. 4 times 2 is 8. Now we're going to do by 3.
You got it. Enter the number of tiles needed to make 3 trays.
So 5 times 3 is 15. 4 times 3, 12. Now we're going to do 4.
Enter the number of tiles needed to make 4 trays.
So 5 times 4 is 20, and 4 times 4, 16.
You can create an equivalent ratio table by multiplying each quantity in the original ratio by the same number. Eli's muffin recipe includes 4 cups of flour and 2 cups of sugar. He makes a small batch that is half the size, as well as several larger batches. Enter a ratio that represents half of these ingredients.
Okay, so we're going to simplify the recipe by cutting it in half. So 4 divided by 2 will give us 2, and 2 divided by 2 will give us 1.
Enter the ratio with 3 times as much flour and sugar as the small batch.
So we're going to do 2 times 3, which will give us 6, and 1 times 3, which will give us 3.
Enter the ratio with 4 times as much flour and sugar as the small batch.
So 2 times 4, 8. 1 times 4, 4. Next.
It takes a lot of energy to get rid of trash, but it takes less energy to recycle. Recycling 100 aluminum cans can save enough energy to light up a room for 2 weeks. Estela wants to find the savings for recycling even more cans so she can use the information to promote a school recycling program. Enter the number of weeks of energy saved by recycling 200 cans.
Okay, so again, we can go and simplify. So we would know that 100 divided by 2 is 50. So she's recycling 50 cans per week. Or we can go across and to get from 100 to 200, we multiply by 2. So to get from 2 over to here, we're going to multiply by 2. So it's going to give us 4.
Enter the number of weeks of energy saved by recycling 300 cans.
So again, we can either divide 300 divided by 50, or we can say 100 times 3 gets us to 300. 2 times 3 will get us to 6. 300 divided by 50 is also 6.
Enter the number of weeks of energy saved by recycling 400 cans.
Same thing. From 100 to 400, multiply by 4. So 2 times 4 is 8. 400 divided by 50 is also 8.
Great work! Eva works at a sandwich shop. She works between 10 and 20 hours each week. Last week, Eva worked 18 hours and made $144. She wants to know how much she will make for working different numbers of hours. First, enter the amount Eva is paid for 1 hour of work.
Okay, so here we know that 18 divided by 18 will give us 1. So we want to do 144 divided by 18. So hopefully you have a calculator handy that you can pull up a calculator, because we don't have one down at the bottom here. And you can do 144 divided by 18, which will give you 8. So we know that she's getting $8 per hour.
Enter the amount Eva is paid for working 12 hours.
So now we're going to use the 8 to help us with the rest. I know this looks like a calculator, but it's a little tricky. It's not, just for you to type in your numbers if you're not using the keypad on the side. So we're going to do 12 times 8 to figure out how much money she makes after working 12 hours. So 12 times 8, hopefully we know, gives us 96. If not, please use your calculator.
Enter the amount Eva is paid for working 14 hours.
So now we're going to do 14 times 8, which should give us $112.
Enter the amount Eva is paid for working 16 hours.
And 16 times 8, which I'm going to use my calculator for, is $128. And that's our ratio table.
A pet store has a special offer this weekend. For every $120 that customers spend, the store will donate $3 to a pet rescue program. How much do customers have to spend in order to raise $1,000 for the pet rescue program?
Okay, so what you can see here is that to get from 3 to 1,000, it's not going to give you a whole number. So it's a little messy. So we want to simplify first. So we do 120 divided by 3. Now we can use mental math to figure that out. 3 goes into 12 4 times, and hold your 0. So 40. So what that's telling us is that for every dollar or for every $40 that is spent, $1 is donated. So we want to find out how much money is spent when $1,000 is donated. So we're going to do 1,000 times 40. So 1 times 40 is going to give us 40, and now we're going to add on those 3 zeros. So it should give us 40,000.
To find the amount customers would have to spend in order to raise $1,000, first enter the amount needed to raise $1.
So we said we're going to divide. So 120 divided by 3 gave us 40. So we know that we're going to type 40 in there.
Enter the amount customers need to spend to raise $1,000.
So now that's going to be our 40,000. Make sure you type in the right number. And hit next.
May is competing in a remote control car race. She can complete 15 laps in 24 minutes. Find how long it will take May to finish 20 laps if she keeps the same speed.
Okay, so again, to get from 15 to 20, we can't really multiply by a whole number. So what we're going to do is simplify. So we're going to simplify the fraction 15 over 24. When we do that, we're going to divide both the top and the bottom by 3. And we're going to get 5/8. Now, if this was a 5 and this was an 8, we need to see, to get from 5 over to 20, what do we multiply by? We multiply by 4. So if this was an 8, remember, we're going to do 8 times 4, so this will give us a 32.
Nice job. Daryl wants to see how much water is wasted by his leaky faucet. He put a 4-gallon bucket under the faucet. After 24 hours, the bucket was full. If the same amount of water leaks each hour, how much water will be in the bucket after 60 hours?
Okay, so again, we want to simplify first. So 24 divided by 4 is 6. So we know that this is 1 gallon of water for every 6 hours. So to get from 6 over to 60, we know that we are multiplying by 10. So we're going to do 1 times 10 to get a 10. Let's do the quiz.
Katya makes crafts using glass jars. She can buy a package of 12 jars for $9. How many jars can Katya buy with $45?
So we're going to look at this going across. So to get from 9 to 45, we multiply by 5. So to get from 12 over to here, we're going to multiply by 5, which will give us 60.
Trent added water to a pool. It took 3 minutes to add 9 gallons of water. How long would it take to add 18 gallons of water to the pool?
Okay, so let's go across. 9 times 2 will give us 18. So 3 times 2 will give us 6.
A leaf blower runs on a mixture of gas and oil. The ratio of ounces of gas to ounces of oil is 40 to 1. How many ounces of gas does the leaf blower need for 2 ounces of oil?
Okay, so again, going across. Here, we're multiplying by 2. So we're going to multiply by 2 up here. So 40 times 2 will give us 80.
How many ounces of gas does the leaf blower need for 3 ounces of oil?
So now we're going to do 3 times 40, which will give us 120.
How many ounces of gas does the leaf blower need for 4 ounces of oil?
4 times 40, 160.
Yosef paid $10 for 6 avocados at the grocery mart. He wants to know what the price would be for buying different numbers of avocados. What is the price of 3 avocados?
Okay, so to get from 3 over to 6, we multiplied by 2. So we're going to divide by 2 to get our number here. So 10 divided by 2 would give us, we see here, 5.
What is the price of 9 avocados?
Okay, so now again, we're going from 3 over to 9. We're multiplying by 3, so we're going to do 5 times 3 to get 15 here.
What is the price of 12 avocados?
3 times 4 gives us 12. 5 times 4 will give us 20.
During a reading test, Enrique reads a passage with 640 words. It takes him 4 minutes to read the passage. How long would it take Enrique to read a passage that has 800 words if he reads at the same speed?
Okay, so we're going to simplify 640 divided by 4, which will give you 160. So we're going 160 words per minute. So now we want to do 800 divided by 160. So 800 divided by 160 is going to give us 5. So we're going to type a 5 in here and go on to the next box.
Anna is preparing the soil in her garden for planting tomatoes. The directions say to use 4 pounds of fertilizer for 120 square feet of soil. The area of Anna's garden is 180 square feet. How much fertilizer is needed for a 180 square foot garden?
Okay, so again, we're going to do 120 divided by 4, which will give us 30. So we know that we need 30 square feet of soil for 1 pound of fertilizer. So we're going to do 180 divided by 30, which is going to give us 6. So over here, we're going to type in 6 and go on.
Shauna makes crafts using glass vases and colored sand. She can buy a package of 10 vases for $8. Shauna has $40 to spend on vases. How many vases can Shauna buy with $40?
Okay, so let's go
Complete
across.
the table.
8 times 5 will give us 40. So 10 times 5 will give us 50.
Sam added water to the community pool. It took 4 minutes to add 16 gallons of water. How long would it take to add 32 gallons of water to the pool?
All right, so
Complete
from
the table.
16 to 32, we're multiplying by 2. So over here, we're going to do 4 times 2 to give us 8. We could have also simplified and gotten 4 and then done 32 divided by 4, which is also 8.
A lawnmower runs on a mixture of gas and oil. The ratio of ounces of gas to ounces of oil is 32 to 1. How many ounces of oil does the lawnmower need for 64 ounces of gas?
Okay, so we're going to do 64 divided by 32, which we see is 2. So we're moving over, multiplying by 2. So 1 times 2, 2.
How many ounces of oil does the lawnmower need for 96 ounces of gas?
So that's going to be 3, right? We can just double check by doing 96 divided by 32 on our calculator, which gives us 3.
How many ounces of oil does the
And
lawnmower
then
need for 128 ounces of
divided
gas?
by 32 is 4. So we're going to type in 4, and we're done with our table.
Martin paid $6 for 4 avocados at a farm stand. He wants to know what the price would be for buying different numbers of avocados. What is the price of 2 avocados?
So here we're reducing. So 4 divided by 2 gives us 2. So 6 divided by 2 will give us 3. So we know that 2 avocados
What is the price of
cost
6
$3.
avocados?
So now we're going to go the opposite way. So here we went from 2 over to 6. We multiplied by 3. So we're going to do 3 times 3 to give us 9.
What is the price of 8 avocados?
2 times 4 gives us 8. So 3 times 4 will give us 12.
During a reading test, Enrique's younger sister reads a passage with 360 words. It takes her 4 minutes to read the passage. How long would it take Enrique's sister to read a passage that has 720 words if she reads at the same speed?
Okay, so I like to reduce. So I would do 360 divided by 4, which would give us 90. And then 720 divided by 90, that would give us 8. Or you could also say that to get from 360 to 720, you're multiplying by 2. So 4 times 2 equals 8.
Omar is preparing the soil in his garden for planting squash. The directions say to use 4 pounds of fertilizer for 160 square feet of soil. The area of Omar's garden is 200 square feet. How much fertilizer is needed for a 200 square foot garden?
Okay, so like here, to get from 160 to 200 isn't as easy. It's not a whole number. So that's why I like to reduce first, always. So now 160 divided by 4 is 40. So now we're going to do 200 divided by 40, which will give us 5. So our answer is going to be 5 up here. And we're done. All right, good luck. Make sure you submit.